ナードホールズ、ケイレブとウィル、ドラゴンボールを視聴。
All right, welcome back. We're doing episode 2 of our Dragon Ball rewatch series. So in this episode, we are covering the second half of season 1, the Emperor Pilaf Saga. So we were talking about the Kamehameha Wave. Episode 9 is Boss Rabbit's Magic Touch. Episode 10 is the Dragon Balls are stolen. Sorry, I'm reading a list of all the translations. I'm trying to find the English one. So episode 11 is the penalty is pinball. Episode 12 is a wish to the eternal dragon. And episode 13 is the legend of Goku. So, Will, compared to the first half of season 1, what are your thoughts about these last 5 episodes we did?
So the funny thing is, as much as the first 7 gave more like world building, like it kind of set up like when I was saying to you, like, oh, she's real weirded out that this kid has a tail, but then an episode or 2 later, there's like a talking flying pterodactyl, and I was like, I don't know if this is really an issue if he has a tail. But the thing I liked in these 6 that we watched was it was more, you got more of Goku's backstory and some other people's stuff too. So I don't know. I think I like this. I like 60% of this more than the last.
Okay.
The only thing I didn't really like, and it's just, I know this is just what it's going to be like going forward, was it felt like they were in Pilaf's castle like forever.
3 episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
3 full episodes. 3 full episodes almost.
And it was fine. Like, I get it, and it's okay, but it was just like, okay. Like, and they did a good job with it. They explained it well, and like it wasn't like boring. It just was like when you go from the series is like, okay, this thing happens, they wrap it up in an episode, and then the next episode is something completely different. It was a little weird.
So that episode specifically, like the penalty is pinball.
Yeah.
It is like they're in Pilaf's castle the whole time, and it's kind of the same story beats over and over. Running from the pinball, they're being chased down the corridor. If that episode doesn't end with them getting locked in that glass thing and Goku turning into the Great Ape, like that whole episode would just be like filler,
right?
In my opinion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because that does happen, it kind of like adds to that.
It totally sets up. You're like really excited for what's to come.
Yeah. And so,
but that's at the end of the next episode, because you think about it.
Is it?
Yeah, because the 11
you're right. You're right.
Pinball, and then 12 is a wish to the eternal dragon.
I'm wrong. So penalty is pinball, they get to the castle, right?
They get to the castle, and then the pinball thing happens,
and then they're locked in there,
and then the dragon comes out.
Yeah,
at the very last part of the episode, and then the 12 or a wish to the eternal dragon is like you have the whole thing, and then
they try to get out of the prison thing, and
then
they stop the wish.
Yeah, they stop the wish, and then he puts them in the easy, what's he called? The easy, it's like an easy bake oven.
Easy bake oven. Yeah. When the sun comes up, you're gonna fry.
It makes me laugh because he says things, and I'm like, there's no way he says that in Japanese.
No, oh my god, no. I
was like,
no, there are some funny things where, like, you know, obviously, like the English dub is like more like modern to like the time that it was dubbed.
Yeah.
And there are like scenes that are shot or like animated that like match like the Japanese like vocals.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's like this scene of this, they're talking
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my, because he really says like, in Japanese he says like three things and he's doing this. So like now in English you have to like fill that or like cut that
Oh,
scene.
I see. That makes sense.
I mean, because you know how like
That's funny.
in Japanese it's like a long form of like
Yeah.
speech, and it's not like it doesn't always convey a lot of things, a lot of words.
Yeah.
So now in English, it's like if you were to translate in English, it's like I don't like that very much, but in Japanese, it's like oh yeah, cha cha ya cha wa yeah, and it's like it's crazy. So it's like now in English, you
Yeah.
have to like lengthen what the
Yeah.
character is doing. So it's this whole thing.
That
So
angers me so much.
sometimes
I don't like it when you touch it there, but it hurts me so bad.
so sometimes yeah it gets crazy because it's like you have this whole thing if they can
Yeah.
kind of like cut the scene too, if they can like edit the scene and like cut that part out, they will. But
Yeah.
sometimes things happen in the background or things are happening and you can't, so they just
Like, yeah. Or his
rewrite it
reaction is
somehow.
like
Yeah.
too good to pass up type of thing. Like, yeah, them crying
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. I used to in high school, the kids, when I was like a eighth grader, the seniors used to make me do the Godzilla thing because I could do it really well. I probably can't do it as good anymore. But I used to be able to be like, I don't know if I can do it. I used to be like, he is on the hill, but I don't know if he is going to come. And he goes down. Like that's what it used to be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was really funny.
It is true. Yeah. I mean, you and I grew up to a lot of like Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee movies and
Yeah.
Godzilla, and it was always like that. It was like they just used like the footage from the Japanese version and then they just translated like the four words in English
Yeah.
to be like run, and it's like his mouth is just it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that's pretty good. So same concept. I mean, that's the thing that you're dealing with, but now what's crazy too is like now like animation so much more advanced that like
True.
they can kind of like re-edit like scenes and
Oh,
specifically
yeah.
like make it for like the English version.
And also, like, even as much as things like you wouldn't think it would happen because it's like a silly animated kids show, like they
Yeah.
now actually animate because they have the time and the resources to, when he's actually talking, his mouth actually moves to the
Yeah.
words.
Like lips
It's
and
like,
everything.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's kind of what gives this show so
When
much
you
like
and I watched
charm.
cartoons back in the 80s, 90s, he would just be like this.
Yeah.
And words would come out, you know what I mean?
Or
That was
like
the
not even,
animation.
yeah. Or like they wouldn't even move sometimes. My favorite too, like you'll pick up on in this show specifically, I think in some of Dragon Ball Z too, is
Okay.
like you'll have a character that will be like not facing the camera, so it'll be like the back of his head, and
Okay.
he'll go on this long like tirade or rant about something, and it's very clearly like they like freezed,
Oh,
they freezed on that and like did this like explanation for this character, and then they like
gotcha.
and then they continue on.
And then cut away.
That's like
Yeah,
some of my favorite stuff. Yeah.
that makes sense. That's funny.
But that's what gives this show so much like charm is because it's such a like 90s like early morning like cartoon.
Yeah, yeah.
The comedy, the all that stuff is like, the
Oh,
translation. I love
it's
it.
definitely watch it once a week and like see what's gonna happen type of
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, like you look forward to it. Like if
Yeah,
you were a
yeah, yeah.
kid, you'd Saturday morning, man, you'd be up with your cereal and you'd be waiting to see what Goku's doing.
Right.
So yeah, I think honestly the only episode because I watched this twice. I originally when we said we were gonna do this, I started rewatching them all, and I got to like season 3. So now I'm like rewatching before we talk about them. So I've seen Rabbit's Magic Touch twice now, and it's like it's a weird episode,
It is.
and
It
I
feels
think
very out of
you
place.
I think you have stuff like that too because it's like you have these weird issues of like the manga where they would come out and it would just be like this funny thing would happen. Like it didn't really
Yeah,
matter, just because it was like a
sure.
filler. And I think
And
that
also
kind of
just like
happens
he's
too.
weird and It's like he's weird enough to be interesting, and right.
Well, it kind of shows you how weird this universe is,
Yes.
right? Because like you said, the first episode shows up and you're expecting like, okay, Goku's an alien, like that. I kind of know. I remember that, and like, but he's
Right.
on Earth. But then as you get, see, there's dinosaurs, there's like life size like humanoid rabbits.
Right.
He's got like magical powers. There's giant fish. There's like all this
Right.
weird stuff, you know.
It just made me laugh because Bulma is just so thrown off that he has a
I
tail
know,
and he's like
yes,
a
that
weird
is funny.
kid. And it's like, you're talking to a pig. This pig is talking to you. Like, that's
This
weird.
pig, this pig and this cat thing, they went to school to learn how to shapeshift. Like, what
Right.
are you
Like,
talking about?
Goku is totally fine. If you
There's
don't
these
realize he's an
glowing.
alien, he's just a little kid with a tail. It's not that weird.
Yeah, I think that's more. I think again, I think that's more of an English translation thing for her being like weirded out by his tail.
It must be. It must
Yeah,
be.
because
Yeah, it's
you got to
gotta be.
remember too, like in Japan, they have this like the legend of like the Monkey King
Yeah.
and like that kind of stuff. That's kind of where this stuff comes from. It's like what he,
Yeah.
Toriyama pulled from like that kind of stuff.
That makes
But
sense.
yeah, so that rabbit episode is a little crazy. It's fun. It's funny.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well, I'll
a
tell
lot of
you.
my favorite one-liners come from that episode.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. Because that was the thing. I think I texted you it. I know I'm not going to remember it. I should have wrote it down, but it's one
So
of
it
his
came from one.
henchmen.
Yeah.
I was working and I was in the car watching the episode. And I must look like a maniac in the car to anybody else in the parking lot because I was like watching it and I just was like, like you said, it was weird. I wasn't like hating it. It was just like, this is
Yeah.
very strange. And they said to him, it was
A
like the thinner of the
boss.
henchmen, boss. And he says, he's like, hey, get up. This thing is happening. Whatever he says to me, he goes, oh, but it hurts so bad the way he said it, and I couldn't handle it. It was just the way he said it.
Hey, get up! You're okay! But it hurts me. Don't.
I don't know if I could. I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but oh no, it
Yeah.
hurts so much, like or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, they are super funny, those two idiots there. What was the thing I texted you that he said is I forget what it was, but he was like, yes, no, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love too the running thing of like all these like tough guys showing up and they're like, oh, we're gonna beat you up, you little kid, you little squirt,
Yeah.
And Goku's just like, oh, so hungry. Like he could
Yeah.
care less that he's being threatened by these two. He just like
Yeah, he doesn't
wants
care
to
at
beat
all.
the crap, he just wants to eat, he's always hungry. So even like later on too in that episode where Pilaf sends like the dogs after them.
Yeah.
And Goku's like, oh, and like Yamcha has to like carry him through the castle because he's so starving. And then when he sees the dogs, it's like cooked
Cooked meat, yeah,
it's
like a
all
Looney
over it.
Tunes.
He's just like, oh, now he's ready.
Yeah.
So I love that. So yeah, I think my favorite line from that is Oolong says, I liked you better as a carrot to Bulma.
Oh yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
I love that.
comes out of it and she's like, oh, I feel like a vegetable is what she says. And I was just like, oh boy, that's a little on the nose. On the nose.
So here's what's funny too, is like that's kind of a running theme in the show, like later on too, is that like all the characters, their names are like names in Japanese for like vegetables and stuff.
Okay.
So like Goku, his real like saying name is Kakarot, which is like Japanese for carrot.
Oh man, spoilers! I've heard that name before. Okay.
And Vegeta is literally like Japanese for like vegetable. Wow. I think Yamcha. No,
Yamcha sounds like a sauce.
Yeah, it's all this stuff. It's all these food items. Like all these names are like food item.
Wow. Oolong.
I mean, obviously oolong, right? Is tea.
Yeah.
I don't know what par is. I'm sure par is tasty. Just
I'm not really sure.
Oh, yeah. So that was funny. And then trying to think of the other episodes there. The Kamehameha
So
wave. So the first one, right?
yeah,
You
that
finally get to see like Roshi is not just this old pervert. He's this,
yeah. Well, he still is an old pervert,
well,
but
yes, obviously. He's
he was
not
really
just that.
right.
But I love the fact that
Um,
like he wasn't even
yeah.
going to help out Goku and the Ox King unless he's like, "Do you think you could get Bulma to go on a walk with me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
why not." And he's like, "Oh, let's go." That's
Then
the
he
only
rode
reason he
that.
helped out.
He rode that
Oh
like
my god.
spinning other turtle thing. Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious.
But yeah, and then Chi Chi throws that thing at him and it goes right in his head.
Oh yeah,
And
dead.
he's like, nobody could dodge that. But the thing that
He
I
tries
thought
to. He
was,
tries to hit it with his.
yeah, I honestly, so this is the thing I liked about that episode because I'm
Yep.
looking at it, you know, not like how you're going, but you're like me. You watch something and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. They do
Mm.
this in this episode.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
watching it and I'm like, oh holy cow! I'm like, I thought the Kamehameha thing was like
Was Goku's.
a Goku secret whatever thing that he could do because he's a special being. But here it is, Master Roshi is like
Yep.
he gets all like super jacked up and then he does it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing that I thought was really cool was like this is the introduction of it. Like going forward, him
Yeah.
doing that's like I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's
So the one
that's
thing that you'll
they
come
do
to
it all
find
the
out about
time.
the one thing you've come to find out about Goku is that he doesn't have any of his own moves, like inherently. I mean,
I see.
everything that he does in the show that he learns is always something that was like taught to him by somebody
I
else.
see.
He doesn't have any of his own like moves.
Interesting.
So Roshi, yeah, and Roshi didn't really even teach him the Kamehameha wave. It just that's like shows like how like special he is.
Yeah, like how quick on the
Because
fly.
Roshi's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it'll take you 40 years to learn how to use it. And he's like, Ka May. And he like shoots that like car.
Yeah.
He flips that, he blows that car up. And he's like, oh
He's
man,
like,
that wasn't
ooh.
even half as big as yours.
Yeah. And everybody's like, what? Yeah. And then he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And then when Bulma comes over, she's like, what happened to the car? And he's like, oh, I did that. And she like I love that stuff. I love like how proud he is about it. And like everyone's like,
yeah.
you idiot. How are
Yeah.
we supposed to get out of here, you idiot? Yeah, it's great.
The so I really like that. I really like that. That was a really
It's
good.
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool, and I honestly kind of forgot that Roshi kind of hulks out like that. They bring that back way later on, and it was like really cool. So
Gotcha.
getting to see like, oh yeah, that's right. So he did that. It's kind of a callback,
Well,
It's cool.
I just for me, I thought it was just like super cool that like this is how it starts in the show because that Kamehameha thing is like they do it
Yeah,
constantly.
yeah.
Constantly.
That's like the main thing. Yeah,
So it was really funny to be like, no, Roshi does it the first time and it's like a thing. You know what I mean?
it's a
It's not
human
just
thing.
like, yeah, it's cool. It was cool.
Yeah, it's using all like your internal like
Yeah.
energy and like forming it. You're like forming your like inner energy, right? That's kind of the whole
Yeah.
like point of it.
Yeah.
That's why, like later on when Goku tries to do it, he's like, "Oh, Kamehameha waves make me hungry," because
Yeah.
like it's using all of your like
Yeah.
energy and like
Yeah. Like, yeah, whatever. Inner force. Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
And then you
Yeah,
have
that's super cool. Then he
then
blows
you
the
cut to the
castle up.
next episode. What's that?
He blows the castle up.
He does blow that castle up. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, well.
Oh, I'm really sorry about your castle.
Yeah. And then I like how Oolong first changes into Bulma and he looks terrible. And then he's like, yeah. And then he changes it into like better looking Bulma, like spot on. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He's like this little short, like,
Yeah.
I'm Bulma. Yeah, it's so great. And then he like gets her back by being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Master Roshi."
Yep.
Oh my god, yeah, I love that stuff.
But the thing that made me laugh in the next episode in that boss, the rabbit thing. So it's like all that weird stuff happens, and those guys made me laugh and all this stuff. And then the Master Carrot comes out, and he's like, "Huh?" He's like, touch me, touch me. And she's like, "No, I'm not gonna do it." And she smacks his hand away. And they're like,
Oh,
"Oh, he's
you
like,
touched me.
you touched me." And I was just like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" And then she turned into a carrot. And I was
Perfect.
like, "Oh."
Great.
I
Somehow
was
this is not serious, but also just got serious.
yeah, right, exactly.
I love to. It's like so you and the payoff to me honestly was like, that scene before where she puts on that bunny outfit that's like all Oolong had in his car.
Yeah,
You're just like, okay, I get it, whatever.
yeah,
But then to like actually see that pay off,
yeah, right.
like that's obviously why they like kept him on is she gets to that town and everybody's like giving her stuff because they think that she's part of like the rabbit crew or whatever.
Well, the thing that made me laugh too, I don't know if you want to do this. Literally, if you take the fez away, she has like the same outfit as Aladdin.
Oh yeah.
It's like once it's like the baggy pants with the blue and gold.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
Vest.
It is.
I was like, this is really funny.
She trades in that bunny outfit for a genie outfit.
Hilarious.
Surprised they didn't give her like curled shoes,
Yeah. But first I didn't realize it was supposed to be like a Middle Eastern like
Yeah,
village.
I forgot about it. How stereotypical are those like
Yeah.
accents in that town?
Yeah.
It's like
no, please, okay, it's fine, it's okay.
And so it's so funny too because it's like you assume that this takes place in like Japan, like
Right.
Tokyo, like that area, and then you get to these little towns and they're like, "Don't hurt us, please, don't do that." You're like, "What? What is going on?"
He's like, "Oh, how much for these 5 capsules?" He's like, "No, please,
They are on the house. They are in the
Yeah.
house. What is he? He says something too. He
He
says
says
like
they're on the house. Yeah. They're on me, they're on my family or whatever. Yeah.
they are on top of the house. It's like this very like over.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that's all the English dubbing. Like they're not
Yeah.
doing that.
Oh, it is. No, it's literally like me just doing that exercise.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so but then when Master Carrot shows up in that stupid car that
Oh yeah. I don't even remember what happens to Master Carrot. I don't remember.
Goku hits him in the head with his power pole.
Oh yes,
per
okay,
usual,
yeah.
and then makes him turn Bulma back. And I think they
Yeah.
just leave. I think he says like, don't leave the town alone, or I'll be back, basically.
Okay, yeah. I remember him smashing him over the head, yeah.
That power pole must be heavy, man, because that's like his go-to move.
Bam. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, the thing that I like about this half of the season is that these characters that have kind of been like apart,
Yeah.
like kind of finally come together, like Yamcha and Poor kind of become part of like the main group,
Absolutely.
And how funny is it too that Bulma wants to wish for a boyfriend and Yamcha wants to wish for like being able to talk to girls without like freaking out.
Yeah.
And then it kind of ends with them being like, "Oh, we decided that we're just gonna kind of hang out." It's like, there's an idea.
I like so the two excuse me. The two other things that were like really like interesting, like eye-opening.
Yeah.
I was one was I was legitimately shocked as a viewer to be like, you just spent 11 episodes trying to get the Dragon Balls together to make a wish to this dragon.
Yeah.
And then the wish ends up being super comfortable underwear. And I was just like,
Well,
I don't know
not
any
only
other show that would have like the gumption, like a
yeah,
literally, like to make you watch all this, and then it's like what ends up happening is like something frivolous, like just kind of stupid,
yeah. Well, it's and not to mention too, it's like an Infinity War thing, right? Where like the whole time you're fighting Pilaf, and then
Yeah.
who ends up winning? Pilaf, essentially. I mean,
Yeah.
Pilaf's the one that's like calls the Eternal Dragon.
Yeah.
That to me is a little shaky too, because it's like, how does he know? You have to utter that phrase. You have to say, "Eternal Dragon, grant my wish." To like summon the dragon.
I see.
So it's like, how does he know? How did he know exactly what to say? But I don't know. But it's like, how did he know about the Dragon Balls to begin with in the first place? So it's like, I'm sure they did their research or something.
It seems like he did his research. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like that. Yeah.
Just was really funny. I just, what you would expect in a thing like that, he would be like, no, this thing or whatever. He would wish for something that he wanted, like Oolong wanted, like, a family or something, or like a beautiful castle or something. I don't know, a wife.
No. That's like all he could think of in that moment was.
He's like, oh, my boxers are chafing so bad, right? Which makes you think like it's just an English dub thing. They're like, okay, how do we explain that he wants underwear
without it being like too like over the top too,
Right.
Because obviously like the Oolong in Japanese is just like, I want a pair of used panties.
Yeah.
But how funny is it too that he like wears them
on his head? I know.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
So funny.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, he's just walking around, and then later when Goku he's deformed from the ape, and they're like, okay, like, well, we got to put some clothes on him. He's like, I'm not putting these things on him. I was just like, it's obvious. It's obvious to put that on him, you moron.
No, those are the universe's most comfortable pair of underwear. You're not going to just use it on Goku. He'll rip him or something.
Him, yeah. So that was really funny. It just was. I just starting at episode 1. And knowing at the list, like seeing that number 12 was a wish to the Eternal Dragon, which means
you're
like, spoilers.
You're wondering what they're gonna wish for,
I was like, yeah, what's gonna happen? And then it's like underwear. I was just like, oh, okay,
yeah. And then you like how like Bulma never explained to anybody like what happens either until like that moment. Everyone's like, what's going on? And then she's like, oh yeah, that you can't use them again for another year, and they all split up across the earth and become stones for a year. Like,
yeah,
that's good to know.
Oh.
Goku would not have gone along with that if he knew that was going to happen,
Yeah. So that's the other, I mean, to me was huge, was the fact that him turning into the ape like murdered his grandfather.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, that's pretty crazy.
That's such a great scene to set that story up too, right? Because they're in there and they're about to die in the morning, and Goku says, they say, oh, well, look at, Par's like, oh, I'm just looking at the moon. And Goku goes, oh, did you guys know there's a big giant monster that comes out on full moons? That's how my grandpa died. It's like, I don't know about that.
What about that? Yeah.
They like immediately like
they put it together
like,
pretty quick. Yeah.
Well, the tail kind of throws you.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I don't know. I slept through the whole thing. I woke up and my whole village was trampled. And they're like, what's the last thing you remember? He's like, I don't know. I was staring at the moon.
I must have looked at the moon, I guess.
Yeah, right before I fell asleep.
And then
they're like, we could test it, I guess. And it's like, let's not take the chance. And then Bulma's like, Goku, don't look at that moon right there above your head. And he immediately looks at it.
I did like that he didn't immediately do it. That was a good touch. When he turned back, he was like, I guess it's okay.
That's pretty great animation too for the time.
It was really good. They
Like
knew what
him,
they
like
knew what they were doing. They were
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, but
That was
before
the
that
role.
too, one of my favorite things before that is like he's like, "Oh, we can just jump out. There's no ceiling." And they're like, "No, Goku, it's glass." And he's
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh, well, it can't be harder than my head." And he
blank.
just
Yeah, that's why my name is what it is, because after he turns into the ape, he's like Pilaf's in the bed and he's like, but that was a bee.
yeah.
I'm getting all the honey. Which is really funny.
So
Made me
I
laugh.
love that scene in the bedroom
Yeah.
where like
Yeah.
he blows the roof off and Pilaf is
Yeah.
still sleeping and like Mai and Shu are like waking him up. And he's like, "Oh my god." It's like, "Would you idiots do something?" They're like, "Oh, yes, I am." And then
They
they
throw
start
like
throwing like the
slippers and
lamp.
pillows.
And
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, you apparently you guys have never taken out monsters before."
Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah. And they're in the plane and they're shoot the heat-seeking missile, and then they shoot him and they land and he's kicking him and stuff. Oh man, I
Well,
was laughing at that. It
at
was
first they're
funny.
like gonna fly away,
Oh yeah.
and then he's like, "Turn around, we're gonna defend my castle." They're like, "No way." And he's like, "Where's the ejection button?"
Yeah, oh
And
yeah.
then they turn around. But like, how much of a call to like
King
King
Kong.
Kong is that? Where they're just
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Meow."
And he's like,
He's like, "Whoa."
yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it.
It was pretty cool.
It's pretty great. Yeah.
And all he had to do, all Yamcha had to do was pick up Bulma and run with her. And he was like, maybe I
Like,
can talk to
yeah.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, and then he lifts that building, half that building off her too.
Oh yeah.
Her spine is totally fine.
Oh yeah. Because that's how it always works.
Yeah.
It fell just right where it pins you, but it's not.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt you, but you can't move.
Yeah. Normal.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really liked a lot, and it made me feel like there's never going to be another episode ever again.
Nope.
As they're in the capsule plane,
Oh yeah.
right? And he was in his Oolong's overalls on the Nimbus cloud.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, da, da, da. And I was like, that's the intro. That's literally the intro of them in the plane and him on the Nimbus cloud, like different clothes, but. And I was like, wow, I really like that they did that.
That's such a great send off from like
Yeah.
from like the season anyway, is like them like together. He found new friends and now he's going on his own path and they're going on their own path.
Right.
It's such a great like end.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
absolutely.
setup for like the next. I love that.
See, now I'm really interested because he's going to Roshi's to train.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating because like now I know that Roshi does the Kamea thing, and like you're saying, he gets a lot of his abilities and his fight moves and stuff like that from Roshi. And I know other people on this too.
Well, it's cool too because like he wants to train with Roshi because like his grandpa did.
Yeah.
Like Grandpa Gohan and the Ox King both were like Roshi's old pupils.
Yeah.
So it's like he's gonna follow in the footsteps of his grandpa, and I love that.
Yeah. And I like I'm really interested to see like how the tail getting cut off, like what that really means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he loses his balance.
Yeah, which was like a cool thing I didn't even think about when he was like running and he's like, I'm really dizzy, and then he's like running and falling and stuff like that.
And they're like, your tail's gone. He's like, oh, I wonder where it went. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back. So how fascinating is that too? That like for like shape shifting can actually become like a pair of sharp scissors enough to cut like a tail off.
True.
And it's funny too because like when you picture like just cutting off like this furry thing.
Yeah.
But then she like cuts and then she like cuts again, and then you see like the bone, like the thing in the middle. You're like, oh, that's kind of gross.
It was a little, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could feel it, even though I don't have a tail. I could feel it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
But what's funny too is because even when like Yamcha like jumped on his tail as the Great Ape,
oh
it
yeah,
like
yeah,
all like that kind of sucked his like power the same way it
yeah,
does like when he's in human form. So it's
yeah,
funny, like even when he's big like that, like it's super vulnerable.
yeah.
I think normally there's a time frame on the Great Ape thing. I think they turn back by morning.
Yeah, well, I took Yamcha's indication. He's like, "Well, we'll just have to hide until the sun comes out." He said,
Yeah.
but then he immediately came. Right,
Yeah.
that seemed freaky. Yeah, when he was like, "What happened?" Something happened, right? And he went right over to Bulma. I don't remember why he was doing it, but
Yeah. This is when she got
maybe he was
trapped
trying
by
to.
the
Oh, okay, yeah. And all
they're
of a
trying to
sudden it
lift
was
the
like,
building off.
and he was like, I was just like, oh god.
I love to such a classic thing where like you kill this big giant monster and then you get out of the plane and you go up and you kick it and then you see
Yeah.
like the hand.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like
I was expecting when they flew over his face the first time, like his eyes were going to open. That's what I thought was going to happen.
yeah.
I also liked when he got really mad, he turned red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love the Great Ape thing. It's such a cool like concept. And you don't see it a ton.
Yeah.
You don't see it a ton.
Mm-mm.
Because it could be one of those things that could be like very like overplayed.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
that's the thing that happens at every end of like every story arc.
Yeah.
Is he turns into the ape. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's uncontrollable, so that's kind of like a
Yeah.
prevent you from using it too, you know.
Seems like it only happens once a month.
It's true. The I think the Saiyans too, like when they used to conquer planets, I might have already told you this, but I think they used to use like energy waves, kind of like the Kamehameha, and they would like blast like giant energy waves into the sky and put like this giant like glowing ball of energy in the sky, and then they look at
Oh.
that, and that would transform them too. So that's what they would do, and they would go to like conquer these planets, and there was no moon. They
Oh.
would like put energy balls out in the sky and stare at them. So it's funny that it's not always the moon specifically, because obviously like different planets don't have moons.
Right.
And that might have been like a storytelling thing like later on, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't remember anything else specifically that was fun. I don't remember Yamcha or the Ox King and Chi Chi. They're kind of on their own. They're going to rebuild their castle.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I just in those 13 episodes, you get to meet like all these different characters that like end up becoming like major characters.
Well, the thing that, and I know, and I don't really want you to spoil it for me. To me, like going forward and having the limited amount of information that I have,
Yeah.
I know, like when I see Master Roshi, I know him. I know of him, I should say, and I know of Bulma and obviously Goku.
Yeah.
But it's like the other ones, I've never even heard of them. You know what I mean? Like
Really?
Oolong and like Poir and Yamcha. Like I've never heard of these guys.
That's
You
funny.
know, stuff like that.
Yeah, Yamcha's kind of like he becomes like a running joke just
Gotcha.
because of like how like weak he is.
But
that's kind of that's the thing too, right? Is like you have these characters that you know, Goku just gets stronger and stronger.
Right.
Until it's like he's not, you know, he's unmatched from like human point of view.
Which makes sense.
So it's like to have these people like Yamcha and Poir and you know, Oolong like tag along and like his adult life, it like doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Like what are they gonna do? They just, you know, stand there and watch him fight. It's like so like
cool.
in a storytelling, you know, like they're around. A lot of people hang out like on Master Roshi's island. They just kind of
hang out.
where they hang out. I think they're all in it going forward. They just become more like background characters the more like you introduce like threats and crazy stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, it's why like starting here was a good idea, because it's fun and you get to see all these characters, and then when they show up later, you're like, oh, you have these memories of
Yeah. Well, the thing
how
that
crazy they were.
to me, one, seeing the dragon is big.
Yeah.
And then also the Kamehameha thing is like huge for me, because it's like, oh, okay. Because going forward, if we had watched Dragon Ball Z and just started and they started to do it, I would just thought it was a Saiyan thing. I would just thought he was like, oh, they can only do that because of their Saiyans.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, it's like a specific move. It's a specific thing that like you can do. You just have to be trained in doing it. It's like that's more of what it is, rather than whatever.
I think even some points in the show, like Krillin uses it.
Yeah, I would
Krillin
imagine.
yeah,
like going forward, it's not, to me, it's no longer like a special.
Yeah.
Only these type of people can do it. It's like, well, yeah, if you have training, you know what you're doing, then anybody could do it, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I'm glad that we did that this way then, so then you get to see that.
Yeah. I hope Pilaf shows up more.
I think he does.
Because that would be funny.
I think he does. And then it is the same kind of thing, like where like later you get like the less and less like menacing he is. Like he's just an idiot.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, he is anyway, but like,
yeah,
as soon as Goku's like not, 8 anymore, it's this. It's this whole thing.
Well, I think the thing too that's going to happen with the show, just from knowing what I know, is like it's going to go from like cutesy, dumb, kind of dangerous characters to like, oh, this guy might kill people, and like
like menacing, evil,
right?
Like earth shattering,
So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
It gets pretty cool. I mean, it does. It changes like completely, like the story. This is like a fun, like younger age Goku, like Saturday morning cartoon, and then it becomes like this cool, like martial art, like battling for like the sake of Earth,
Yeah, they wrap this up like in such a nice way where now I'm looking forward to him training, like going to Master Roshi and like training.
And that's why I wanted to watch these in like specifically like the saga order.
It totally makes sense.
Because like season 1, like if you were to buy season 1, it's literally like up to like episode 36 or 37.
Oh wow.
So like the first 13 is like the Pilaf Saga. And it's like such a great like beginning to end. Here's the story.
Absolutely.
Send off, like just
And
now I think the next saga is the
Tournament Saga is what it says.
Tournament Saga. 1986, yeah. Yeah, and it's great. Again, it's another it's a great season. As far as like you and I like loving kung fu and martial arts and stuff like that. Like this is a great season. And there's more episodes, I think, in this season. There's 20.
Yeah, there's a couple more. There's like 2 more than this one.
It goes from 14 to 28.
Yeah, so there's 15 episodes because you have to count them.
Yeah.
Count the first one. So,
and they're great. I mean, the last like 6-7 episodes is all tournament stuff. Actually, no, it's more than that. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm super excited to get into that because that's like some of my favorite like Dragon Ball stuff. And it just from here, it just keeps rolling, baby. It gets better and better. You have to you have to introduce Goku, you have to introduce Bulma, you have to introduce the Dragon Balls. But now it's like now you have a year before you can use the Dragon Balls. So Goku's going to go train. And this is like something that always happens is like Goku will do something, he'll win or whatever will happen, and then he'll go train, and then the next thing will come, and it's just this.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he's going to go, obviously he's going to go find his number 4 star Dragon Ball after when he can.
Yeah, it would make sense.
A year from now, so
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So it's cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah. Next time we'll be covering. How do you want to split that up?
So we're gonna start with Goku's rival and then
Yeah.
end on Smells Like Trouble.
Okay. That'll be good. Smells like trouble. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. So that way when we
Yeah.
go to conclude that tournament saga, we'll start with quarterfinals begin and then
Yeah.
That's
that'll be a good way to split it up too. Because it introduces you to all that stuff, kind of gets like the first couple of like there's a couple episodes in there too where it's like I think it's like Yamcha fighting in the tournament, and
that's cool.
it's just like him, his episode. So it's cool.
Cool. All right.
I mean, it goes through the whole tournament. I mean, you see the whole tournament. That's what's awesome about it. Is like it's not just like, oh yeah, so this guy won, he's now in this bracket. It's like there's these 20 people, and you're gonna see them all fight.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay.
It's awesome.
I like that a lot. Okay. I didn't realize. That's cool.
So you get to meet Krillin in the next
I
episode.
can see the Krillin's on here. So yeah.
Next up, yes, yeah. So that's kind of the theme too that we've been seeing so far is like Goku has this ability to meet people, have them become friends, and like move on. So like Oolong's a bad guy,
Right.
joins them and like becomes a good guy, friends with Goku. Yamcha kind of starts out as like the desert bandit, and now he's like a good guy. He's friends with everybody.
Yeah.
But you just see that over and over and over, like throughout like the whole series.
Okay.
And it's cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, same with Chi-Chi and Ox King too, right? Yeah, too. Cool.
Can't remember if you see them again next season or if it's the third season.
Okay.
I don't remember, but we'll get there.
Pum, 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 pum.
Come on, I'll give you fantasy. Oh man, I wish I could use more of that song in the outro because it's such a good sound.
I mean, you probably could if you sang it. They probably let you get away with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to try that. Magic can happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll work something out. I'll have Adri do it. Cool. All right. Well, next month, doing the tournament saga.
Yeah. So how about that? Where it's already been a month. So
yeah, I don't even want to talk about
it. Okay.
Told you.
Yep.
YouTube drains your life.
Certainly does. Certainly does.
I mean, yeah, you've seen that having a weekly show. Like, oh, another week. Another week is gone. Beautiful. I gotta watch that tonight too, by the way.
Yeah, same.
Cool. All right. Well, we will see you guys in the next episode when we start the tournament saga.
What?
Yeah.
But today,
yeah, we're doing balls.
Talking about those dragon balls.
Those oolong balls.
Oolong balls, oolong balls.
Oh, man.
Talking about Yamcha balls and Power balls. And oh, yeah.
I think it's only been Goku and Oolong so far.
I don't remember the oolong, but I'm not looking for it, so it's okay.
Yeah. I'll send it to him.
No, please don't.